today, guys. Today is the 10th week. So we've been going 10 weeks strong in here. The feedback's been really positive. Everybody's been getting a lot of value, and we're going to kind of go over what we're going to cover today and what we're hoping you guys as students can bring and where I can help out and where we can really just make this an awesome Zoom and get a lot out of it. Because I think the students so far have got a ton of value coming in every single week, working with their sellers, working through problems. And then I'm going to talk more today. We're pretty close to starting to turn these actually into profits. So, but anyway, 10th week, I was going to go with that is what I typically share is, and why we started this Zoom is when I went to Pace, I'm like, hey, Pace, like I looked at 20, it was like 26 out of my last 27 deals that I did. Like our goal is to do 100 deals this year, but I looked at like my last quarter essentially, and 25 out of 26 were creative deals. And again, I've been a wholesaler for a while and a buy and hold investor, fix and flipper. But man, when interest rates went up, we just realized that, hey, we were either doing a novation, or we were doing a sub 2, or we doing an owner finance, or some sort of blend of all the above, right? But I looked at 25 out of 26 deals were some sort of for creative finance. I've just found, guys, maybe you guys are seeing this now too in the market. Granted, they did drop interest rates yesterday, but man, sub 2 it's been the preferred method, or I say sub 2. Creative finance has by far been the preferred method for us to take deals down and get contracts. I was going to see who else is coming in so far. So guys, again, if you guys could turn on your video, I really appreciate it. Makes it more interactive. I like seeing how you guys interact. Even when we're like doing live calls, I can still kind of see your guys' expressions, and I don't know, it's fun. It makes it more interactive and I really enjoy it. So, but anyway, like Victoria said, another reminder, edit your name and where you guys are from. So let me think about what else was I going to go over. Yeah, let's kind of frame up today and what we do each week in here for you guys. Repeat. I know we got a lot of repeat people coming back, but here's where we get the most value in these calls is when you guys bring your problems. And when I say problems, that could be any problem. We discussed this last week, right? This could be the most common one we see is hey, Casey, I got a deal that I'm trying to get under contract and I'm stuck. I don't know for whatever reason. You're maybe stuck with the seller. Maybe you're stuck with an agent being a gatekeeper and you can't get a hold of the seller. Maybe you just can't make the numbers work. Maybe it's an issue with taxes. Maybe it's a eviction. Who knows what it might be that you're dealing with on the deal you're trying to close or get under contract, but bring them. Guys, the best thing you could do is bring the problem today. Like typically we have a form, which I'm going to share with you guys. I got to work it again. If you guys go to sub2problems2profits.com, I'm typing this in the chat. So if you guys click this, I'm going to share my screen, or we'll click this link. I'll share my screen to show you guys. All right, here we go. So if you guys go to problemstoprofits.com, what this is going to do is going to take you guys to, I've created just a little landing page to make things a little bit easier for you. So first off, if you guys ever need to go look at the recordings or find a direct link to the Zoom, you can just go to this website. I know there's a lot of links in sub 2, so I just wanted to make it easier. But here's the form. I want to show you guys these forms at the bottom, right? So if you need help on a deal, what we want you guys to do is go fill out this form and you're going to fill out some information. This is how I prioritize who we're going to talk, like what leads we're going to call first, right? In general, we've had enough time to work everybody in, and I love you guys bringing deals in live and bringing in problems live and just speaking up and help, and then we can help you. But ideally you fill out this form, right? The second one I wanted to highlight today is the JV form. Guys, what I've been finding, and we're going to talk about this in a second. You know what? Let's talk about it now. As I told you guys, we've been working a lot of these deals for several weeks. Today, we're about to get our first contract from problems to profits. So if Keith, I'm not sure if Keith is on, we're finalizing it. We've had to go several rounds with this. It's actually with an agent, but the house was built in 2021. We're taking it over sub 2. We're going to put about $20,000 down as the entry fee. But again, house built in 2021, it's going to cash flow. Looks like a really, really awesome sub 2 deal. And it was one that Keith brought as a student. He brought it to sub 2. We called the agent. This agent was actually very open to seller finance. If you guys go back, I think this was probably episode 3 maybe. And we actually talked. We talked to this agent for like 25 minutes. It was great. It was a great call, right? But today, after going back and forth a bunch of times, and they kept taking somebody else's offer, but we were persistent, we're expecting to get a signed contract any moment now. So really excited to share that with you guys, that we're actually taking down a deal with a student. It's going to be one we'll share in the community, because who knows, there might be somebody on here that might want to just buy the deal from us, because we do have the ability to sign it based off. We'll just take a small fee, and if somebody'd like to jump into that one, let us know. I'll make sure to share it with everybody. But really exciting, guys, that like, again, students are taking their time, bringing the deals. And then what we do is typically, that's why we have this JV form. So if you guys want to work together to close out a deal, what you'll do is you'll fill out this form. And guys, I haven't highlighted this enough every week. So listen, if you guys, some of you guys have been here every week and some of this is repeat, this is new. So on this JV form, I need you guys to fill out all the information, because that information, I was actually talking to my team today. We're like, hey, how do we help students close more deals on Problems to Profits? And my team's feedback was we need all the information in one place so we can go make the LOI, so we can help negotiate, help make decisions, right? So this form that I'm showing you guys, if you fill that out completely, there's also going to be a final section where you can put, because guys, I get it. There's not one box, one size does not fit all, right? If you guys know that, and if you haven't figured it out by now, in sub 2, we got to be creative. We got to be we got to be nimble, right? But this form is meant to get sort of the basic stuff we need, like loan balance, property address, payments, that sort of all the kind of basic stuff we need. And then there's a box at the bottom where you can put in additional details. But if you guys fill all that out, then what happens is I actually get you guys on an app called Voxer with my team. And then we go and we're going to help you guys work through the deal and hopefully get, ultimately, like we did with Keith, we're going to get this deal under contract and then dispo it and it's just exciting, guys. It's really exciting to do our first deal with another student. Okay. Another one is, so some of you guys might be listening today and be like, man, I'm not ready to call a deal. I don't have a lead. I don't even know how to get leads, right? I don't have a direct to seller business. Well, if that's the case, guys, we actually, if you click this link, I'm going to give you my list so you could start calling and getting on the phones. Cause we've had a lot of over our 10 episodes, I've done a lot of, I think, education and training upon, guys, it's just about getting on the phones and having a conversation and understanding your seller, understanding what is their driver, just being an active listener, right? So one of the best ways to get reps at that is you're gonna have to talk to somebody. So if you guys are interested and just wanna work a list, we're gonna do this one. And I'm gonna highlight a couple people on this today. And the last one is if you guys ever just want, you know what, Casey, I'm new to this, but I got some capital and I wanna invest alongside you in a deal. If you guys have that, click this form. I have my fund, which is for accredited investors, but also we can do like one-off deals with students and you can be like a lender on a one-off deal. Okay, so that is kind of the highlight of this page, guys. So then you can access the vault here. But again, I wanted to highlight these forms, super, super important. Guys, any questions so far? Let's check out the chat here.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my thing is, I'm not sure I'm filling out the LOI properly, and I know you've given a couple lessons, and I'm gonna go back and look at the previous recordings. But you sent out the LOI you used, and I used that one. But I got a little confused between you had two options. One, and if I'm remember correct, the first option one is if you're just simply wrapping the existing mortgage and offering a little cash. The second one is if you're wrapping the existing mortgage, offering seller financing and some cash. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know what, John, let's I'm gonna share my screen and we'll walk through that. Do you mind? Do you have a Google Doc? Can you share the Google Doc link here? And we can actually walk through it.
Let's see if I can get to it.
I'll give you a minute and we're gonna come back to this because I'm gonna cover a couple more quick things, kind of housekeeping, but I think that's a great way to start today, guys. Is go through that. I think that's a great idea. Cool. And I appreciate everybody's kind of sharing some information in here. So, okay. So the link, yep. So hopefully you guys saw the link on problemstoprofits.com and you can go find the JV form. So guys, please fill that out. Okay. Really quick, couple updated announcements. I talked to Victoria, wanted to share with you guys. So, and actually I'm going to copy and paste this in here so you guys have it. But today is the last day to sign up for the October virtual No One Left Behind challenge. Guys, if you haven't done one of these, I think they're awesome. It's a great way to get to know more people in the community. I'm actually myself signed up for this one as a closer. There's different levels of this challenge, right? There's the people who are just going to go out and pretty sure they're going to be leveraging prop AI to go generate leads and ultimately book appointments for the closers, right? So I'll be a closer on one of the teams and there'll be lots of other great closers too. But whether you're a closer, whether you're a newbie, I would definitely encourage you guys to get in this challenge. I say this a lot, but the big difference between I think this community and a lot of other masterminds is there's always lots of information you can learn, right? But this one I think is what I love about Pace's community is they're taking action. And this challenge is how you actually go take action and get the reps, right? So it's all about like, we can go learn all this stuff, but if you guys don't apply it, that's how you take the next step. So I really want to encourage you guys, if you haven't seen the links, I'll copy and paste a link here and so you guys have it. Okay, there's a couple links for you guys to get signed up for the challenge. Okay, so we talked about the challenge. We talked about the forms. Okay, last but not least, I want to highlight a couple people this week. But each week, we started this last week, we want to highlight a couple different students. And I got to make sure everybody's on this week. I know, for example, Mike is not going to be on today. But what we like to do is, and even kind of going back to these forums, right? Like last week we talked to Ashley. Ashley's been one of our cold callers. She's done a phenomenal job. And actually, let's start with there. Is Anthony, are you on today? Anthony Perez? Anthony's been at most of our calls. He might've been tied up today. I hadn't heard back from him. If you're off mute, Anthony, no, that's okay. We'll give Anthony some time next week. Let's see. I know Michael was off today as well. But I also, Michael's going to come talk a little bit next week. Michael is going to be what we call our community member of the week. So last week we brought on Sandeep. Sandeep has done an awesome job of letting other people know about this Zoom, so more people can get value, right? So this week it was going to be Michael, but I'm going to let Michael talk a little bit more about that next week and give him a chance to kind of talk on the forum. All right. But our last one, let me get it pulled up here. I got too many tabs open as usual. While we're in the chat, who thinks they have the most tabs open right now and has worse ADD than me? Anybody? Okay, yep. So it was Mike Van Muren last week he's going to be our community member, but we're gonna push Mike the next week because he was actually, I think it was his anniversary today. All right, John's got a bunch of them. I like it. Okay. And Chinmay, are you on today? I was gonna bring up Chinmay. There we go. Marianne's got at least 15 tabs. I like it. Chinmay, are you on today? That's all right. No worries. So I'm going to get this LOI pulled up. And then, John, if you're able to find that LOI, we can kind of fill one out. If not, I can use one of my templates. No worries.
Well, I have your template open.
Okay.
Now.
You do?
Yeah. I filled mine out, so I redid mine for that particular one, but I wanted to look at the master one, because there's just a couple of things that confused me on it.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I can pull up here's the thing, I got so many versions of this one. That's why it's sometimes helpful to look at yours because
I'll look at this one. Yeah, we can pull this one up because cool. This one that I have of yours is the one that I just, put my company name in and all my information. And then I left the options the way they were and then just fill those out depending on the need.
Okay.
So let's see, will it let me? Nope, won't let me share my screen.
Or if do you have it in a Google Doc version?
Yeah, it's a Google Doc. I just copied your Google Doc.
Okay, yeah, just pop the link in, if you can copy and paste the link into the chat, that should work good.
Hang on, let me see, how do I get to that link here? Whoops, there we go, we're at this. So I need to go down here and find the link. That's what I don't like about these is the links are tough to find sometimes.
That's okay. While you're doing that, John, I'll just go over a couple more things while he's pulling that up. Guys, so after we go over the LOIs, which I think is really just a great way to start things out today, I want to, you guys can raise your hand or I want to call some sellers, right? Hopefully, again, I challenged you guys last week, come this week with somebody ready to call. Because if we can, the more people we call, I don't know, the feedback, the overwhelming feedback have been from the Zoom is when we have sellers, agents, whoever it is lined up to call live. I think that brings the most value and ultimately can really helps you guys kind of see as I talk through different scenarios and then we can recap it. Either way, what I've been told is not too many people are calling sellers live and it's super valuable. So guys, please, while we're pulling this up, raise your hand or if you got somebody, text them right now. Say you got an agent, a seller, somebody who you've been struggling with, be like, hey, can my partner Casey call you? He's in the next, we got an hour and a half left. If we can go call some of these people, set them up, text them. And then as soon as you got them green light, let me know so we can call them. All right. Yeah, cool. And then we'll do one other thing too, guys, which was really cool we did last week. If you guys weren't on last week, we actually worked through a due on sale clause. So actually I called the bank live on this call last week. If you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. It was probably one of my favorite episodes because literally this bank, it was a small bank and it was actually a mobile home and they were let's put it lightly, they were pretty difficult when it came to dealing with the due on sale. Cause I figured, all right, we're making the payments. Do you guys have any issues? But despite it being like a $37,000 loan on a mobile home, they evidently want to go waste a bunch of time to enforce the due on sale. So we'll see what happened. But if you guys go back and listen to that call, it's pretty insightful. And if you have any questions after you watch it, please let me know. Good. And then Colin's got a question too. Good. Cool. All right, we'll come back to you. You know what? I'm going to answer Colin's question and then I'm going to go to John. So, and you guys feel free to use the chat. That's a great way to do it. So, all right. So Colin's question. Okay. When you call about direct to seller leads, do you worry about the do not call list? Is that something we should be paying attention to? Man, that's a good question, Colin. Yes and no, right? It really depends upon your risk tolerance. I've talked to a lot of investors who still work the do not call list because they still close deals off it, right? You just got to understand you're running a risk. And I have talked to also plenty of investors who've got cease and desist and got letters from attorneys and had to go through some headaches because of reaching out to people on the do not call. It's typically been due to texting. I don't know if I have a specific example of somebody on the do not call list, but just know it's a risk. But I'll be honest with you guys. I talk to a lot of investors. They're like, if you are going to take the risk, more times than not, so let's say that somebody does send a letter from their attorney or does whatever, typically you end up just settling on something, right? And let's say that, I'm probably going too deep here, but I'm just telling what other people have told me. Like, let's say they settled for 5 or 10,000 with this person and got them to let it go. Again, I'm not advocating that's how you want to go about it, but if you think about all the deals that you may have closed and the potential profit, it's just kind of a risk reward, right? So to play it safe, yeah, I would be filtering my list and not calling the do not calls. That's the safest way to do it. But some people would argue that if you do it, and there are deals to be had, I think no doubt there's deals out there, and if you filter it down, you will miss out on some deals. Does that answer it? All right, we're gonna still come back to you, I promise, John. But if not, I'll get behind on these questions. So guys, keep them firing. Yes, you're right, Colin. Small credit. It was a small. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they're a small bank or credit union, but they're small enough to where they want to go chase down a $37,000 sub-2 loan that's being paid, I might add. If you have some lead, I knew, but I have sales ability. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. So Albie, man, if you have not done this, I know you sent me a direct message, but Albie, hey, fill out the form. Go fill out the cold calling form that I had earlier on where it's problems, TO, so problems2profits.com. Go fill out the cold calling form. Sounds like you've got a little bit more experience. And guys, I'm glad Albie brings it up. If you're somebody who has a little bit more experience and maybe doesn't want to be calling cold leads, but wants to get experience calling warm leads, man, we've got a ton of need for that as well in our business. So Albie, I'd love to get you working, man, and work together. Ooh, good question, Marianne. How do we know if they're even on the DNC list? Let's see if somebody else answers that question. Yeah. So there are a lot of, it just depends on your platform. A lot of the texting and the calling platforms, they're going to give you an option to actually just filter it all out. And if not, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've never had to go find it. I've always worked with, whether it was batch leads or a cold calling platform, they always just filter out the do not call, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just a box that you check and say, hey, don't call anybody on the do not call list. So more times than not, there's just a software that'll take care of you. But if not, I'm sure you could go find it.
In case just to be clear, that's different on opt-in leads, right? So if they fill out your form, but they're on the DNC list, that wouldn't matter for your team.
Yeah, very good point, Clint. So what Clint is mentioning here is if you, like, for example, on our website, if you go to my website for my direct to seller, you go to WYO Houses, I'll pop it in here. This is our direct to seller website, WYHouses.com. If somebody goes on there and fills out our form, like, okay, I'll give you an example. We did this big promotion last week. And if you guys, some of you guys who follow me on social media, it was super cool. I flew up to Laramie, Wyoming, where I went to college, and we were there for the Wyoming BYU football game. And we did this challenge where this fan had a chance to go throw a football for 25 yards to win $50,000. And our company put on everything, right? But what we did is to get people to sign up for this is they went and filled out a form. We had a website, a landing page. They went to the form, but one of the boxes on that landing page was, are you okay to receive text messages, right? So now I have permission to reach out to those people. So if that person was on the do not call list, I would still be reaching out because I've got basically a track. They could go back and track that and show that, hey, this person explicitly agreed to be reached out to. Awesome. Free. Oh, and then Marianne, is there free software for texting? Ooh, you know what? I would probably, knowing what I know now, I would pay a little bit more for something. Google Voice. If you want to just text on Google Voice, that's, I think, your best free option. But you'll probably quickly grow out of Google Voice. But there's some pretty good platforms out there. We use Launch Control. Batch Leads is a good one. There's plenty of, and I'm sure you guys this group could go say 100 other options. So
I use Google Voice to text on. And what I do is I set up all the people I want to text and all their information on my Excel spreadsheet. And then I go and I write in Word, I write what I want to text them, the information that I want to text, and and have it fill in. And I merge the two, like do a letter merge. So now I have a list of the person, what I want to text, their address, and all that kind of stuff. And then I can go through and I can copy and paste, copy the phone number, copy the text, and send. Copy phone number, copy text, send. So that I can do it very quickly. as opposed to having to sit there and type each one out.
Yes. That's a great point. Yeah, copy and paste, and Google Voice on the desktop is really nice. So I do agree. That's probably a good middle ground, guys, if you're looking for something versus you just typing on your phone or using, hopefully at least you have an iPhone and you have iMessage on your computer to go a little bit faster. But yeah, I would think, and the Google Voice is just nice. I'll just tell you guys, Google Voice, I've gotten every number I've ever had eventually gets blocked for whatever reason. Granted, I'm leveraging your virtual assistants, so maybe if you were just doing it yourself, you'd never get blocked. But at some point, Google Voice, they always seem to take it away. And when they always take it away right when you need it, and then you're scrambling, and then you can't get access to that number, and it can be frustrating. Have you ever got blocked, John?
No, and usually I'm only texting out like 50 texts at a time. Out of all the texts I've sent, I think I've only had 10 people say, stop texting me, and I stop, but yeah. I've been able to talk to several people, haven't got a deal, but I try to keep it under so many. And with the Google Voice, you have to I make at least one Google call a week to keep my number. If you don't, there's such demand for Google numbers. If you haven't made any Google calls for a month, they'll send you a message. If you don't make any Google calls before a certain date, they're going to take the number away. Wow. So you got to keep, and I have a little alarm on my phone that tells me got to make my Google calls, and I just go in and literally I just go in and call my own number, and then that satisfies the parameters.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's great feedback. Yeah, there you go. Google Voice, keeping you accountable, John, making sure you keep those messages going out. I like it. Here's a really good question too. All right, by Shino. If you subtail, do you do a deed transfer and record, or do you do just a novation agreement? I love this question. So, my go-to would always be transfer the deed if you're doing a subtail, right? Because you're taking ownership. And I guess what you're saying is, okay, so here's where my threshold, here's how I know whether it's a novation versus what we call it our revive method, or sub two flip, whatever that looks like. To me, it's all dictated on how much money am I going to put in it, right? Or if I'm holding it as a rental, obviously, I guess, yeah, I wouldn't call that a subtail. Subtail would be more of like, you're going to flip it quickly and sell it, but you're just going to take the deed. But I would always, if possible, take the deed. The only time I'm doing a novation is if I'm not actually sure if the margins are really going to work out. Like sometimes our novations we do novations to where we go to a higher basically low, or let's call it loan to value or basically profit margin. Okay, let's talk about if the house is worth 100,000 and we're typically offering 70% for say a cash offer, we offer 70K, and then you would take off repairs as well. But sometimes with the novation, I'll go up to 80 or 90% on a novation, and it's a lot thinner. But the reason I'll do novation is I give myself a lot of flexibility to where, again, you disclose with the seller, say, hey, this is a price we can do. You write a flexible contract, right? But the novation is ultimately you could walk away from it if you couldn't sell it, right? If you're going the wholesale route, you're definitely taking over that property, right? There's no backing out. And then I would recommend transferring the deed. But where I wanted to go into depth on this is, well, we do this all the time, guys. It's probably one of my favorite strategies when it comes to fix and flipping. Is what we do is it's like a novation to where we fix the amount of money that they're going to get, or sometimes we'll even do a profit share. But what we do is we take over the property, we transfer the deed, and then that allows me to go sometimes I'll put in I've put in $100,000 into some of these subtails before, but I would never obviously do that without transferring the deed. So my threshold is about $10,000, right? If I'm doing a novation, I just got to go literally yesterday, my agent calls me. We got this deal under contract. We want to do a novation, but the house needs to be cleaned out. Well, all the tenants moved out. Sorry, not the tenants. The sellers moved out, and we're going to do a novation on this, right? But there's some stuff that needs to be cleaned out, now that they've cleaned it out, it needs a good cleaning. And there's some other repairs that we just noticed. So I can get in there for probably a couple $1,000s. So if that's the case, I'm not going to go transfer the deed just over that. Am I taking a little bit of risk? Yeah, for sure. Right. But you got to figure out what that threshold is for you. Because a lot of times on these novation deals, if you just go put a little bit of money into it, you could sell it for a lot more. But again, the risk is if you don't transfer the deed and something goes sideways or these people flake on you, then you're at the mercy of trying to sue somebody over a contract, and that could be a lost cause at times. So my threshold is around, I'd say 5 to 10,000. If I'm going to put that much money into it, again, all I do is I transfer the deed. I set up, often I'll give if it's a hybrid or the seller's going to get more money later, I'll give them a promissory note and a mortgage so that they're protected. So, and the way I present this to them is I say, hey guys, this isn't just a handshake. And it's not even just a written agreement. Like literally, when you sign over that deed, I'm going to sign you over a mortgage that's going to be recorded. And that protects them to where, let's say 6 months down the road, I can't sell this property, I can't refinance unless I pay off your mortgage because it's filed at the county. And that just makes our sellers feel a lot more comfortable basically signing over the deed to us, because that's also a big deal. If somebody's going to sign over the deed to you and they're sophisticated and they understand what they're doing, you're taking over that property, right? Now you're responsible. So again, the way they're protected is with a mortgage. I know that was probably way more than you were maybe looking for on that one, Shino, but did I answer your question?
Yeah, Casey, also, would you wait till you transfer in a deed and you start innovating, or you start already? You know what I mean? Because it's a Monday.
Yeah, it happens. It's funny you ask. All right. I think, Shino, you've been listening to my phone calls or listening to my team meetings, because we're working through this all the time. So yesterday, this deal, we're going to take over the deed and we're going to pay this lady on the back end. She's going to that same scenario I just told you guys about. We're doing it literally in Billings, Montana, and she's going to get a profit share on the back end. But my contractor is ready to start on Monday, right? And am I going to have all that paperwork ready by Monday? Probably not. And I have a lot more risk tolerance than most people. So I'll tend to be like, you know what? It's worth a little bit of risk but at the end of the day, like, time is money, and you gotta, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to work around the contractor's schedule, because those guys there's, at least in our markets, there's not a whole lot of them, right? And even when I have my in-house contractors, I still got to time out that schedule, because I can't have them sitting idle. And if I don't start them, like for example, in this deal, if they don't start Monday, I might not be able to get them for a couple weeks. So therefore, I'm gonna green light it, right? So I will take a little bit of risk, on if I don't have the deed and everything transferred, something could happen. So guys, I would be cautious before you go start spending tens of thousands of dollars. But I mean, if your guy's just starting, again, it's all up to your risk tolerance. But I do it all the time. Probably too much.
Thank you so much, Casey. I appreciate you.
Yeah. But it's a timing game, right? Like, again, time is money, and the faster you guys can flip these things and get in and out, the better. So, I'll tell you this. Go ahead.
This is my first one, so I'm like, I don't know. It's nervous.
Yeah. You can. I mean, and it's all based on the relationship. You know them, right? There's some people I would trust with, and there's other sellers that I kind of give me the heebie-jeebies, and they're not. You can't really trust them, so I would not do them, right? But if it's somebody I know, but then again, having a deed. Okay, I come from a family of attorneys, and if my brother was sitting right next to me, he'd be like, don't do that. You're an idiot, Casey. Make sure you have it signed. Like, don't do anything. But again, we're creative. We're investors. We sometimes got to do what we got to do. But here's one thing I was going to say, just for context, that might help you, Shino. So what I'm actually doing is, because the seller's they're not getting any money up front. The problem is I can't go through the whole title process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go get my agent, who I know really well, on Monday morning, so I don't have to take this risk. And my title company's not going to be ready by Monday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my agent go meet with them. I've already drafted the deed, and we've done enough of these deeds over the years that we could just draft one. And if you don't have it done, you can ask an attorney, say, hey, can you give me a template? I mean, if you're trying to do this as fast as I am the first time, not going to happen. But because we've done so many, I literally have my team, they generated the deed. And then on Monday, my agent's going to go meet with this seller, and he's going to sign the deed, and we're going to sign the promissory note at the same time. And then you have to fill out a closing statement. And then we're actually just going to go drop it off at the title company. They're going to record it, and we should have this all done by Monday. So we actually won't have to take a risk, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't always recommend that, because I haven't got a full titles policy yet, right? So I am taking, until I've got that done. Oh man, you guys got me going. But if you do this and you don't check the title, it can bite you in the butt. And case in point, we did it on a deal. We just did a self-recording because we couldn't find a title company in this area to do sub 2. So we recorded it ourselves. Well, the problem was they had this IRS lien that we're still fighting. We're still trying to get a payoff. And I already did my renovation. I literally lost a buyer who waited for me for like 2 months. So yeah, I would not recommend doing what I'm doing right now. I would recommend get your titles policy and take your time, right? But at least here's what I have though, Shino, right? Because I'm doing it this way, at least I have that deed recorded, and that person can't go completely disappear on me, right? After I start working on the house. So yeah, I have a little bit of risk with the title, but I can go take care of the title stuff after the fact, if that makes sense.
Well, how do you do that?
And that's a really good point. I mean, a really good question. So I've got my deed recorded. Typically what we're going to do in this scenario is I'm going to go to the title company. So I'm going to flip this house, right? So what I'm going to do is go to that title company and say, hey, I'm flipping this house. The deed already transferred. Am I going to be able to get clear title, right? And have them start now. Because typically that title company is going to be able to bring up any showstoppers, right? They're going to be able to know, oh, by the way, there's an IRS lien. You might want to get that figured out. And then at least if there's a big showstopper, I can start trying to solve it. Or if it's unsolvable, I can stop before I go spend $50,000 on this renovation and realize that there's some crazy lien on this house, right? But the deed, the reason I'm filing the deed Monday is because I want to be protected and I want to be owning this house, right? You guys are getting a bunch of nitty gritty details today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, guys, you just got to understand, I've been doing this a long time and I'm willing to take probably more risks than the average person, but we do a lot of volume and I feel like sometimes to be nimble, you've got to take some risks to make some bigger profits. Okay, I promise I will come back to you, John. We're going to get to your LOI, but let me look at a couple more. I'm going to go back to the questions. All right, I know you're patient. I know John's here for the duration, at least. Okay, so we talked about direct seller leads, contact you to send you leads. Yes, okay, Jane, question on how to send me leads. Guys, I'll put my email in here right now just so you have it. Or you know what, even better, I'm gonna send two things to you guys. The best thing is social media, right? Facebook or Instagram. And guys, just because I like connecting and I share, if some of you guys that did follow me, you guys see all the deals we're doing. I talk about how we're structuring things. So anyway, my preference would be, guys, send me a direct message on Instagram. So I'm gonna give you my Instagram profile. It's really easy, just my first and last name. But send me a direct message there, guys. And you can also find me on Facebook or in the group, but send me a direct message. And yeah, I'd love to help you guys on, if anybody wants to send me deals, if you guys want to, you guys have the form to JV with me, but if you just want to send me deals, I'd love to look at it. I was actually just talking to a guy. I live in Houston, but I'm not doing a ton of deals in Houston right now just because my market in Wyoming and Montana, our deals, there's not a whole lot of competition, which I know I can tell all you guys that, not everybody will come to Wyoming and Montana. But anyway, we love that market. It's really good to us, but we're still doing deals across the country. So if you have a deal anywhere, I'll absolutely look at it. Nice, good. Marianne's been to Billings, went up to Cody. I like it. How do you work with agents on Novation? Yeah. Kat, that is a good question. Working with agents on Novations, it is not easy. Okay, I will say this. This happens a lot when it's an opportunity to do a novation, but the property's already listed. It's a pretty big deal breaker. I've tried to figure out, okay, how could I do a novation if this is listed? But the thing is, if it's already listed, unless you're going to go in there and do some work to it, you're kind of stuck. Like those ones I typically let go. But it's really, if that answers your question, Marianne, it's really hard to do that. Or sorry, that was Kat. It's really hard to do a novation if it's already listed. But if you're asking me, how do you work in an agent? Every single novation, I'm not a broker or an agent, so I'll go use an agent on every deal that I do a novation with. I mean, you guys, as you guys maybe or may not know, there are flat fee services out there like not need to sell my house. List with Freedom is one. There's quite a few flat fee brokers out there. But what we found is it's still just, myself personally, I would rather go use an agent who's going to handle all the marketing, put it on all the MLSs, and I would rather work out a better deal with them than do the flat fees. I mean, sometimes they're so skinny, I have to go flat fee just because there's not enough money for the agent, but typically I'll use the agent to do the novation. And if you're asking about working with the agent, helping him explain it, that is definitely a challenge. But fortunately, you know what? I could share, if Clint's still on here, maybe Clint would help me. I've got a YouTube video where I just interviewed all the different agents I worked with. Okay, let me back up here a little bit. So if you're going to do a novation, most agents don't understand that, right? They're just like, wait, how do you do that? Who's the buyer? Wait, who's the seller? You're the seller, but they still own it. And a lot of brokers will be like, we won't touch it. Like I've literally had, I bet half the agents or brokers I talk to will not do novations. But what I've done is now I've done enough of them and I've done some testimonials. And then I just refer them back, be like, hey, I've got these 4 other agents that do it and they understand the process and they don't have any issues. Typically that's what warms them up and gets them comfortable. But I'm happy to share a YouTube video where I basically did a testimonial of agents talking about basically doing this process and how it was super beneficial. And obviously just create some social proof and that helps agents. At least when I'm working with a new agent, that's what I do to try to get buy-in. Yes, novations in the DMV I don't know that acronym other than the.
Let's go on, Mike. I'm typing too much.
Oh, that's all right. What was it?
DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's a really expensive area. It's just the housing is just ridiculous here, and we just have a big shortage. And so a lot of my buddies are doing novations, which I didn't really understand that much. But I because I'm looking for my sub 2 creative finance house, personally, I've been talking to a lot of agents, and what ends up happening is, these houses are usually run down by the tenants, but they're in such good areas that if they just needed a little TLC and a little bit of renovation, they would sell really well. But I'm actually speaking to an agent right now with 2 houses that just went off the market. So I'm kind of just brainstorming to see kind of how I can make that happen.
Are you an agent too, Kat?
No, my dad's a broker. Okay. My dad's a broker, but so I know the lingo. I just never really wanted to do the customer service.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. If your dad's a broker, so here's you probably are tracking already with this. So if I'm telling you something, then. Yeah,
no. Tell me, please.
Okay. So if your dad's the broker, yeah, I like it, especially because where it's challenging is if the house is already on the market, because then your pitch is like, all right, let me do a novation and we're going to drop it and relist it. Like, part of my novation pitch is I'm going to A, I might buy it. B, I'm going to bring it to my cash buyers list. C, I'm going to put it on the market and I'm actually going to market it better. So you've got all these different value adds. And then D, I might clean it up for you. I'm going to get my contractor in there and we're going to go clean it up. And maybe I'm going to take over your mortgage, right? These are all, but again, the more money you put into it, it can become more risky, as we talked about earlier. Right. But those are the selling points. But if it's came off the market, I think it's great. And if they need work, it's all about repositioning it. So yeah, I agree. Novation is a really good way for you to basically lock it up, be able to advertise. And what I was going to say is your dad's a broker, right? So now if your dad's comfortable, have him list these, right? And because the key is you want to get it on the MLS because as you know, there's no better buyers list than the MLS, right? Yep. The biggest one. So get it out there, and then it's just about positioning it correctly. And like I said, maybe you do need to clean it out to where you're kind of almost, because that's like a hybrid between I think that's what people are referencing when they say a subtail, I believe, is they're just saying, take over the mortgage, get it listed, clean it out, and sell it, right? Because to me, a wholesale is when we just close on something and we clean it up and then we just sell it to an investor, but on the MLS. Right? You can do a novation, exact same process. It's just to me, the difference is whether you transfer the deed or not. Yeah, we could rehash that again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to speak to this agent who has 2 properties, and basically they're right next to each other, but the tenants have run it down. And so it's in a good area and it does need TLC, but the owners just decided to take it off. I know they have equity in it, so they it would be something of a hybrid where we take over the last little part of their mortgage. But that's where I have to be confident in my pitch with Donna, the agent, to maybe ask her if she could just give me, I can just give her a fee to put me in contact with the owners and go that way, instead of explaining it to her to then explain it to the owners. But that's where my head is at, because they already took it off the market and it was on there for like 200 and some days. And so I know that they're tired landlords and want to move on. So there's pain points there. So I'm new at the single family side of things. Novations.
So okay. So Kat, this is exactly, and for the people who are new to the call, these are the people we want to call. So if you got to schedule them for next Friday, or if you want to, I'll call one of them in the next hour if you can get a hold of them. But these are the conversations.
Do you want to call Donna, the agent? I don't have the owner's number, but I could put Donna on the line. She's she loves me. I sent her pictures of Eva right here, and we could call Donna right now. Yeah.
Why don't you actually? Well, I'm going to go back to Mike first, but text her and say, hey, is it okay if we give you a call? Just say my partner Casey wants to, and I like it.
Thanks. It's awesome.
Yeah. And Marianne, how does the JV actually work? I assume you're referencing like when we JV deals to do deals together. You're just clarifying how we do it. Is that your question? Sounds like, okay. Yeah. So and this is one thing I haven't covered since kind of early on. I've been trying to, a second. Got to make sure my phone doesn't get connected here. Okay. So early on, we kind of hash that out. The framework we have is the first deal, I'll do 80%. I'll keep 80. This is me helping the whole way, right? Helping it from acquisition to dispo, everything. I'll keep 80%. And you're going to be working with me and my team through that Voxer app, and you keep 20. The next deal would be, I think it's 60-40 and then 50-50 as we work down. But guys, it doesn't have to be that many deals. It's not like we need to do 4 deals before you can do them yourself, right? But the first one, we typically do 80-20. But I've got that all broken down. And again, and maybe it's different, right? Like I've worked a couple other ones with students and it's like, they don't need all my help and they can do 90% of it. And I'm just helping a little bit. Obviously, we're going to adjust based off that. I mean, I want to create something that's beneficial for everybody. All right, let's do the LOI really quick with John, and then we'll come, and then we're going to call Kat's agent. And then hopefully we're prompting some of you guys now are thinking, oh, wait, maybe Casey could call this seller, or maybe he could call that agent. These are good examples, guys. And then that's how everybody learns. So please bring them. It always takes us about 30 warmed up and get people firing us off deals. But anyway, we'll get it going. And if John is a mind reader, he just sent me, there you go. He popped it right down to the chat so I didn't have to go find it. Oh, but you're gonna have to give me access real quick and then we'll go here. In the meantime, I'll share my screen. But feel free to raise your hand or whatever you guys, what questions, and if you have deals, that's a good way to kind of create an order. But again, you guys gotta start filling out the forms. Every week, I want you guys to be thinking about your seller or whoever it is you can call, fill out the form so we can call them first. All right. By the way, I see you, Jennifer. Jennifer's here today. Jennifer's brought us some pretty good old deals last couple of weeks. You got any today for us, Jennifer? That's okay if not. And did I see Daryl come on?
Talking to me, Casey?
Yeah. I should go Jennifer Lindsay.
I did have a deal and I wish I had brought it here because the person I was partnering with, he was not in sub 2. And I think that it kind of fell through because his greed was more than his desire to help the person. So it didn't go through, but she may come back. I think it was like a open door type company that she went with. So they cancel sometime. You never know.
Got it. Okay, cool. No, let us know. That's a good one to, yeah, guys, and we don't have to wait till Fridays, but it's always good when you guys can book them in here. Cool. Yeah, Ryan, Stacy, I'll just share this one more time. If you go to problems2profits.com, click on that link, scroll to the bottom of that page, you're going to see 4 different forms. And those forms that I'm referencing are, if you want to, if you need help closing a deal, there's one to bring your deal. There's one to, if you want to JV with me. And then there's another one for if you want to cold call. And the last one is if you just want to be like a capital partner on one of our deals, we can do that too. A good question. Happy to answer that one again, Ryan. And the last one is Daryl. Daryl, I'm coming to fill out the form to call your leads. Okay, all right. All right. Nikem, hopefully I'm pronouncing that word right. Nikem, did you fill out the form, your leads?
Yeah, I did.
Which one was it? Did you fill out the one to bring your seller or was it a JV one?
The one that said to call the leads, I filled it.
All right, cool. And maybe
one on there, I did.
I'm gonna double check
I even
that.
spoke to Ashley on that same day too.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let me see if we're gonna do yours. Is your seller ready to talk today?
No, not today. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question submission. I'm gonna double check. Here we go. You know what? Let me know which form you filled out, Nikem, because the one I've been working on, and that could be a break in my link. So anyway, let me know. Maybe send me a message with which form you filled out.
Okay, I'll go back to it and fill it all again.
Got it. And but to clarify, Nikem, are you wanting to call leads, or are you interested in working one of your deals?
No, to call your leads.
Oh, okay. That's good then.
Yeah.
All right. We'll make sure we get you set up there.
Okay. Thank you.
Just because you saw Ashley. I see what your question is now.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, guys.
Okay.
Good questions. All right. We're ready to go. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to move over to John's LOI. So guys, this is going to be really, really, I think a really good example because one of the keys to, I think, getting offers accepted. And if you guys have been tuning in every week, you've been hearing us pound this drum. You got to make offers, right? But it's hard to put together it's not hard, but it is hard and it's time consuming to come up with a full purchase contract, right? But when you send out an LOI, you get the ball moving and you really get them starting to think about, you get your seller thinking, right? And you get them responding and getting feedback and you can actually start negotiating to locking up a contract. So, all right, I'm going to put this on I want to be able to show you guys so you guys can all look at this. I'm not quite as fast as Pace yet at sharing my desktop, but here we go. And then I see you too. Looks like Crystalline. We'll come back to your question here in a second. Okay, perfect. You guys, everybody see my screen now and see this LOI we're looking at for John?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, I want to kind of talk through the methodology of this and then can I make this a little smaller? There we go. I'm going to shrink this down just so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see all of it. Okay. All right. So here we go. July 3rd, my birthday, coincidentally. Anyway, just you guys would just go in and update the date, right? Again, these are all this. I tried to make this stuff in bold, the stuff you guys will update. But I think John's question was around option 1 or 2, right? So John, the way I approach this is everyone's different, right? I might have 3 options. One might be, but one of them is, I guess I'll start here, guys. Always give them a cash offer.
The 2 option 1.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure why your template had, this would be option, we'll just call this one 2, option 3, right? But guys, to make this very simple, I know you're getting this, John, but always give them a cash offer. And I always make my cash offer very low, probably 50% of the value to build in a lot of cushion, because that is also going to make my seller finance offer look a lot better, right? But then, yeah, John, I think is asking the difference between these two. So typically what I'm going to do here is this one is no down payment. Option 2 is higher purchase price, no money down. And that way you're trying to get these guys to think, hey, you know what? Oh, okay. All right. I got to share this with you guys. So I was at a mastermind this week. It's called Collective Genius. It's, I think many would argue the highest level, the most concentrated group of the highest level investors in the country. These guys are for example, in this group, you have to be doing at least 100 real estate flips or wholesale or buy and holds per year. It's a very high level group. So I was talking to Eddie Speed in here, and Eddie Speed gave a presentation. And the way Eddie Speed explains this is he goes, guys, you gotta give them the furniture option. It's all about get your furniture today, pay later, right? Everybody, when they go buy furniture, they understand that, you know what, I'm going to pay later. I'm going to pay more money for the furniture, but I get the terms. And that's exactly what you're pitching these people. So what I tell them is say, hey, if you want to get the highest price, if you want the furniture option and you want to get more, then it's going to be a lower down payment, right? So that's kind of where I'm saying, positioning this one is typically higher purchase price, no money down. And I'm going to get to your question, John, because I think you're at level 5. I think a lot of our other students are maybe at level 1 here. But this option though above is going to be, because a lot of sellers are going to want some money down. And guys, these numbers are just random. So this would actually, typically if we're putting 25K down, maybe our offer is 400, right? So maybe we offer 400 with 25K down. And then we say, you know what? If you get me this deal with no money down, I'll give you a higher purchase price. And then I just go into interest rate, monthly payments, all that. But go ahead, John. I know you had something specific on this.
That clears it up, because I was confused about what was the difference between the 2 options 1 that were on there. But now that I know that the first one is some money down and a little bit lower payment, the second option 2 is a higher purchase price with no money down and seller finance. Okay, now it makes sense to me.
You bet. And guys, it's again, this is where you can go to different levels of being more advanced. But to me, when I'm talking to my seller, I'm thinking about all these different variables, how much money do they need down? And one tip I would give you guys is when you're talking to a seller, I've kind of learned this over the years. The most important thing is how much money do they need and what do they need it for? Right? So if they need all the money to go buy their next house and they can't move their family into another house if they don't get all the equity out, that's obviously gonna drive me toward a novation, because these people are not gonna be able to carry it. They need all the money. They need to maximize what they need out of it, right? But if that person says, you know what, I don't need all, perfect example, they're guys, hey, I'm moving, I'm talking to this family right now that they've already moved to the new place. They moved to Gillette, Wyoming. They were living in Sheridan, Wyoming, which is where I grew up. They can't get the house sold, but they've already moved to the other place and they're just paying for 2 mortgages. And so I'm like, guys, how much do you really need all the money right now? And they're like, no, we've already found our other house. We're already renting. We just want to get this other one off the books and get our credit back. And eventually we want to buy a house, but right now we're good. So those people didn't need a big down payment and I was able to give them a higher purchase price, right? But one of the first very, very key questions, you guys got to understand how much money they need out, but not only what is the number, because a lot of times they're going to say, oh yeah, I want 50,000 out, but be like, okay, what do you need the 50,000 for? If I could give you a higher price, could you do less? And then they're going to disclose. They're going to be like, well, I got $50,000 of credit card debt racking up at 24% a month. I've got to get the 50,000 right away. So that's a different conversation, right? But the reason I'm bringing this up, guys, is that's what's going to help me craft all these options, from the down payment to the purchase price to the terms. Right down here, I say 60 months, closing date. And then the other thing I like to work in, if it's a hybrid, right? Often I'll put into my terms say I'm taking over a $100,000 sub-2 loan, and then they've got another 100K of equity. Well, if I'm making payments on that equity, I'll disclose that right here and say, let's see, do I have that in one of these? This one's got the notarized mortgage and then the monthly payment to the seller, right? So again, all those, it's better if we kind of just talk through a specific example based on if we're doing a sub-2 or if they're just or if it's a straight seller finance. But I'm going to go back to the questions for a second. Do you guys have any other questions on the LOIs? Cool. All right. Well, if that's the case, let's go ahead and make the call for Cats. And hopefully somebody else has got another call on deck. Wait, somebody raised their hand earlier. I want to go back to them. Or go ahead, Crystalline, right? Go ahead. You can unmute.
So there was this situation that I was in about a couple of weeks ago, and I'm working with a real estate agent that does sub-2 and wholesaling and all that kind of other stuff, right? And I asked him if he could like kind of underwrite the deal to see if it was worth it. And he said after everything, you know, he wouldn't. When I saw this letter of intent, I was like, whoa, there's actually stuff that goes with it, right? Because I don't know all that. And so he didn't give me a letter of intent. He didn't have any offer or anything like that. He just said, it's either $900,000 or it's not worth it. So I was just wondering, is it possible for you to go over like the numbers to see if it would have worked out?
Yeah, I could work through that one. Love to.
Okay, so I was helping my friend. He was building a shed in this lady's yard, right? And so I help him with contracting and stuff like that, just to get a little bit more experience, and I meet people. So this lady goes, oh man, mom's house has been, you know, like kind of just sitting there doing nothing for the longest time. Mom passed away 6 months ago or something like that. We've decided we're not even going to try to get, you know, retail for it or anything. We're just going to sell it to an investor and call it a day. I said, so do you guys have I'm sorry, you know, to interrupt your conversation with Mike, but do you guys have an end buyer? Like, do you have anybody in mind already? She goes, no, we don't. You want to make an offer? I said, can we get the address? And then I'll talk to my partner and we'll see what we can do. So a little bit of back and forth. She says the property is worth ARV 1.5, but sellers always say it is, right? It was in like Rowland Heights, California. And on Zillow, it was like 1.2 plus. And
and keep going. I'm going to pull, I like working alongside you. What's the address of it real quick?
Okay, let me see.
And then everybody else, we can kind of do a visual.
It is 1502 South Edgepath Avenue.
Edgepath?
Hedgepath, like, you know, hedges, Edgepath.
And then spell the last part, hedge.
HEDGEPATH Avenue, Hacienda Heights, California, 91745.
I would not make a good customer service specialist. I don't do good with typing in names or in addresses. Maybe shoot me a quick link to it on Zillow, or even just the address, put it in the chat, and then I can copy and paste it. You did fine. I messed it up.
No problem.
Well, I'm pulling this one up. I am going to answer Alyssa's question, and I like to jump around, keep you guys on your toes. But as far as getting the terms, Alyssa, when I'm talking to my seller, I'm getting all those, I'm pulling out as many terms as I can, and I'm throwing out as much as I can, like, hey, with 10,000, ideally you want them to give you the terms, right? But sometimes people aren't ready to just say it. And more times than not, people just, okay. In a perfect situation, yes, they give you the terms, you put them together and you go back and forth. But there's sometimes where people they refuse. They're like, make me an offer, give me something. What are you thinking? And when those people, then I just put it together in the LOI and see what they say. But yes, I want to collect as much information and have them give me as much as I can about the terms they want. And then typically when they give me that information, then I can give them multiple options. But again, that's the point of my call, my initial call. And when I always talk about, guys, you got to go talk to people, understand their situation. The more you talk to them, the more that information you'll draw out. And ultimately, some of these people that might be kind of rigid or very cold or won't share anything, the more you talk to them, you'd be surprised what they'll tell you. All right, keep going with the story on this one though, Crystalline, and then I got it pulled up and everybody can look at it.
Okay, so anyways, it's coming up on Zillow at 1.2 million, and so she's like, yeah, ARV is probably about 1.5 if you check the comps in the area. I said, oh, okay. So so anyways, it turns out that there's 4 siblings. One passed away, and so he's got 2 daughters that are involved in making decisions, 2 trustees, and then this sister. right? And so I talked to the one of the main sisters, that's one of the trustees, and she says, I want to get 1 million out of it. Okay, whatever you guys do with it after that, that's on you. And we have a existing mortgage of 83,000 or something like that.
83,000 is all they owe?
That's
Wow,
all.
got it. Man, okay, so well, I think anybody who's been on this Zoom for the last 10 weeks knows my next question. It's, hey, would you think we could give them a call? Because I would love to just talk through that conversation with them, and you can kind of see how I navigate it. Because I want to know more information. Because man, the fact that they only owe 83,000, we got a lot of options.
Okay. I'd love to. I don't know if I've burned bridges with them, because so my guy took a minute to, like, he told me he'd have an answer by noon the next day, and then he didn't. Apparently he got COVID, and then with the fires in the area or something like that, he had to relocate one of his tenants. So then he didn't have a response to me back for another day. And then so finally she's calling me, she's like, so do you have an offer or not? Because I have an agent that says that, whatever you offer, they'll beat it. I said, well, then tell him I'll give you 1.8 million, and then he can beat that. We'll split the difference, right? And she goes, hey, we could do that. So she kind of likes me, but then I said, my partner said that the most that we can do is 900,000 in order to make it to where, with all the costs and everything, I'm sorry, we can't meet your price. So I guess we're just going to have to bow out. And then she's like, that's okay. I really appreciate it. Then the sister was, talking to my friend, Mike, and she's like, oh, that offer that Crystal made was such a joke, and I can't believe that she would even insult our family by making an offer like $900,000. It's worth 1.5, and so didn't know where to go from there.
Got it. No, I mean, well, yeah. That opinion really doesn't matter, right? They don't understand the profits. They don't understand the risk that is involved, and especially I find California could be really risky. So. And that price point I would consider really risky. So I definitely don't take any offense to that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, here's what I would say is, if you were able to get a hold of somebody on like the decision maker, I mean, if the only person I could talk to is the agent, that's great. But preferably you talk to the seller and figure out what's important to them. I know you mentioned they're trying to get $1 million, but anyway, it could be a deal. I mean, those are the type of deals that are great, right? Because it sounds like it needs some work.
Like 70,000, I think, because it's pretty much cosmetics, paint, carpet, maybe a cabinet reface. But it was a senior couple that lived there since like 1990s. So they didn't tear it up. They just had pets. So carpet's kind of gross. I mean, nothing major.
Yeah.
So I mean, I took like 1.5 billion pictures, but like I said, it's nothing. I think within 2 months, myself and my friend could have like renovated the whole thing, and we could have sold it. But considering my partner was an agent, and if he thinks that he can't sell it for more than like 1.3 or 1.2, and even Zillow is saying at the point that it is right now, it's 1.2, right? But they don't know what the inside looks like.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's, I mean, sounds like a deal. So yeah, do me a favor, Crystalline, I think the community would love this next Friday or whenever, maybe it's the following Friday, but if you could get us on a call, I'd love to, because there's a lot of options that we could talk through on this one.
Do you want me to try to call her?
Yeah,
okay.
That'd be great. Yeah, why don't you do that? I'm going to pop over while you're doing that, try to get a hold of her and say, hey, my other partner, Casey, wants to talk to you, and then we could go from there. Okay, and if she responds in the next 30 minutes, we can do it today. If not, we can do it next time.
All right. She usually answers or she doesn't. So do you want me to give her a try?
Actually, yeah, I can just try her, and then I promise we'll get back to, we'll go back to the other one. Hold on a second. Yeah, you want to message her, or you can read her number out loud? I'll call her on my number, that way we can hear it.
Okay, let me see. 909-684-6708.
6708.
Her name's Barbara.
Barbara. And Barbara is the agent or the seller?
She's the seller. She's one of the sisters.
One of the sister.
Yeah,
and they inherited it. They inherited it from their parents, or who?
Yeah, the parents passed away. So it was the father and the mother, and then the father passed away, and then the mother was living there by herself, maybe with a brother, and then she passed away. So.
And like recently, or in the last year, 6 months, or
more or less within the last 6 months or so.
Okay, I just want to be cautious of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and is anybody living in the house now?
No, there's nobody living there.
Oh shoot, I just deleted accidentally. I lost the number. Say it again. 909.
909-684-6708.
The last four again?
6708.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see if she picks up.
Your call has been forwarded to an
It might be a block. Okay, I'm gonna message you. Say hey.
So one of the reasons why I was kind of irritated with this guy is because he turned down this deal that might have been taken, like 2 months to renovate. And he draws me onto this other one, which is in Apple Valley, California. And the house pretty much had a fire in the garage, and the rest of the house is pretty much gutted out. So it's probably going to take us around, 4 to 6 months to complete that one. And it's like he's going to get it between 120 and 130, and it's going to cost like probably $100 to $150 or $50,000 to repair. And he thinks we're going to make more on that one than we would have made on this one. Like, this one's not worth it. Let's not do that. But let's get this house that's going to take twice as long to renovate. It's I think 380 ARV, and we're going to be putting in, give or take, 150 plus 120, so 270. So we're gonna net like about 100 and I don't know what it's at. 150, 170, so 110, something like that, minus all the costs of closing costs and whatnot. So this is, I don't understand like why he would do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's. I texted her, Crystalline, and let's see if Barbara texts back, and if so, we'll call her. But like I said, whether it's her or any of these other deals, man, see if you can tee them up and fill out the form, because I'd love to call them. I think it'd be super valuable.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Kat. But yeah, happy to help. But go ahead, Alyssa, you raised your hand. I'll let you ask your question first.
Can you hear me? This is my first time coming on here.
All right, welcome in. Glad you made it.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for taking my question. So similarly, I asked that question because I didn't send the LOI this week. I'm looking at a property, and I'm driving there now, upright student housing across the street from like FSU. My son just started in Tallahassee, and there's a really cool property if you want to look it up.
I'm ready.
220 Rivoli, Rivoli, and it's owned by an elderly couple who have owned it for like a long time, and there's actually 3 houses on the one lot, and it's also zoned, like there's very little space right now in Tallahassee, so a lot of these bigger lots are getting purchased, and builders are coming in and building high rises and big student housing projects. So there's some value in the dirt, but in the meantime, the 3 houses, one is a little bit newer and 2 are pretty old, like from the 50s. I think total there might be like 11 or 12 bedrooms that are available for rent, and the listing is about to expire. So I have talked to the agent, and in fact I'm going to be talking with the agent this weekend and meeting her and seeing but after snooping around a little bit, I did send a letter to the homeowner. And I kind of got caught because they did call me back, and then the agent called me right away, and this agent's been a little bit elusive. So I guess my question really was, with the LOI at this point, I'm probably going to have to send it through the agent, and I can't really have that one on. Did you guys lose me? Because my phone looks weird. So I have a call coming in. Hold on, let me cancel that.
No, we can still hear you good. I got their address pulled up. I'm sharing the pictures right now with the rest of the audience. So keep going.
Sorry. Oh, are you okay? Sorry. So I haven't been able to get a lot of details. What I've gotten out of the agent is that they are kind of stuck on their price. Their price is too high for the package. I understand that there's value in the dirt, but like the numbers don't make sense. So and they have been offered seller from a few months ago that they didn't take. So I guess, now that I'm going to see it a little bit more,
We lost you.
Oh, you did?
Okay, now you're back. Sounds like.
Okay, sorry guys.
All good.
So really just the terms on what you said sounds like now I just heard this conference. The first one being cash, kind of go super low, and then maybe give them 2 more options. Rule. I do have some text now between the seller and I. Should I just wait it out? Should I try to do it through the agent still?
Yeah, this is such a good question. And we get this one a lot. Hold on, let me, oh wait, I gotta go back to the Zoom. I gotta see if I'm sharing. Just one second. I want to stop sharing for a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let me answer that one. So yes, I hear what you're saying. So, and if you guys aren't following along, I'll paraphrase. It's just like, she wants to make an offer on it. She's, basically agents starting to be a little bit of a gatekeeper, and you're just trying to balance where you're at. I would 100% talk to the seller and be like, hey, because we got to get creative on this. And it's so hard to send out an LOI with little information. I mean, if you don't get anything, just send them out a really low cash offer and then give them their purchase price. Okay, easy rule of thumb. I would just give them their asking price, but be like, hey, to do this, I need the right terms. If you think it would still pencil if it was like the perfect financing, right? But that's your option if you can't get a hold of the seller. But ideally, you get a hold of the seller and say, hey, I want to try to get as close to the asking price as we can. But to do that, I've got to have a low enough monthly payment that I can cash flow on this. And and then you just kind of figure out, what does your balloon look like? Is she going to carry it for 10 years, 15 years, maybe only 5? But again, you can't solve their problem until you talk to that seller and understand what is their financial status. I mean, maybe status isn't the right word, but where are they at? How much money do they need? Do they really need all the money out of this house? Would they be happy to take payments, right? You might be on mute. I think you're on mute, Alyssa. Cool. Well, anyway, I think that's a good one. If Alyssa, feel free if you do pop off mute. But yeah, that's what I would do, Alyssa, is 100% go talk to, somehow get a hold of this seller and get more information. If you can't, send the LOI, but it's going to be an uphill battle if you're just dealing with an agent and not being able to, I don't know. As you guys all know, and you've heard me talk about it, it is so frustrating trying to play the telephone game and understand and get what people need. You guys have seen me on past calls and I'll just be like, hey, how do I know? How do I help this person if I can't talk to them? Like they think by being a gatekeeper and keeping everything to the chest is helping their client, but it's not, because we can't solve their problem. But cool.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. You might turn off your video. That might help your connection.
I'm like driving and looking at my phone. I have no glasses on. It's like crazy. So, okay, just last question on that, because I guess I feel a little bad. Like, I could go direct to the seller at this point, but they still are in contract, obviously, with their real estate agent. So then I thought, well, maybe I just let it sit for a few more weeks until they're out. And then I don't have that, kind of working around the agent and feel like I'm, unless that's fine. I guess that's fine.
Yeah, it's a tough. Everybody lands probably in a different spot on this, what they're comfortable with, but and if you're an agent, you have to land and they have a different spot than me. But I don't know. I would have zero. If I'm you and I'm not an agent, I would have zero issues. Hold on. Looks like maybe my video froze too. Just a sec. Okay. But I would have zero issues getting a hold of that seller, because ultimately no deal is getting done until you get a hold of that seller. But you're not trying to cut out the agent. You're just saying, hey, I need to understand the situation. I'm not trying to go behind your agent's back, but I need to understand the situation. And then once you understand it, then you can be like, hey, I'm going to make this offer through the agent, and the agent will be happy, But,
okay. And does anyone ever commonly say, hey, how about the three of us all get on a call together? That's fine too, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, I've done that quite a few times. That would be the middle ground.
The agent is showing me the houses tomorrow. So the only way I'm really going to get in and see them all and see like the level that needs to be done is now I'm going to be with this agent anyway.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, okay.
So I see what you mean. If she's showing you the house, I would do that. Yeah, ask her for a 3-way call. And then it depends on the agent. Like some agents will then be like almost creating a hurdle just because they're on that. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And they might be like, don't answer that. Or, hey, I think we need to talk before you answer that. Like if they're doing that BS, then you got to find a way to talk to them. But also if it's an agent who just wants to get a deal done, it could be great having them on there. Cause then you can play off of them and be like, hey, I know Darla, your agent over here is like trying to get this house sold for you. Here's what I think could help. And then you could work it both ways. It could be an advantage or a disadvantage, honestly, depending on your agent. But given your situation, I would probably do it a 3-way. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Who else has got their hand raised? I don't see if anybody's got a hand raised or question. Who's got a deal even if you're not ready to call. Okay, we got a couple people. But even if I'm going to go to John next, but guys, even if you you're not ready to call a seller, I'm still happy to help answer a certain situation or whatever you guys got. But go ahead, John.
When you're calling on the agents, are you calling MLS, are you calling people that have high equity or low equity in their property and trying to buy it? I mean, to me, if you're trying to do seller financing, it would be, you need higher equity, right?
Yeah, I mean, both scenarios can work. The preferred one, yes, would be high equity deals. But here's another one a lot of people do is they'll go pull low equity, especially low equity ones that have good interest rates, and those are great sub twos. And again, some people aren't comfortable buying something with low equity, but I think if it's got a low payment and no equity, but a great interest rate, I've done quite a few deals like that. So I think either is good.
Thanks.
You bet. Great question. Cool. What other ones? I'm going to let anybody else ask some questions. And while you guys are thinking, I'll throw another one at you guys. I did this call. I want to share the story of a deal where just got under contract. Well, actually, I hate to use the word renegotiated, but we basically just finally locked it up yesterday. And I called this seller live on Problems to Profits. I think it was week 2. This lady had a house in Grable, and I've been working this lead. And I want to illustrate this for you guys to understand that these leads, this is a long game. And especially some of you guys getting started, it can be defeating because you're spending a bunch of time and not closing deals. But I'm telling you, some of these deals take 6 months, 12 months, 2 years before you get them under contract, which is what I'm going to share with the story. But you guys got to be persistent. And if you stick to it, eventually, once you've been doing this for a year or two, now all that stuff that's behind you a year or two is starting to close and you're getting more deals, right? So there's just this big delay, and I don't want you guys to get discouraged. And case in point is this deal, right? House in Grable, Wyoming. We're now going to flip it. And this will blow your guys' mind. This house is, I think, a 3-bed, 2-bath. I can even show you guys pictures, but we got it under contract yesterday, and we're going to close by the end of the month for $20,000, right? In this house, when we first looked at it, the first agent I sent there, well, when I first heard it, she was willing to sell it to me for like 60 or something at the time. I'm like, holy cow, this house has got to be worth at least 200. She's selling to me for 60. I know it needs a lot of work. But when I sent my agent out there to look at it, because I was thinking I can just wholesale this thing or wholetail it. But when the agent went out there, he's like, oh man, this is a tough area. They've got some flooding issues down there. And anyway, gave me a bunch of reasons why it wouldn't work. And so I kind of pulled back a little bit and went back to the seller. I'm like, hey, I can't pay more than probably 30 to 40,000. And she wasn't quite ready at that point to take that. So anyway, we kind of went on pause. We actually were under contract for a while, but we ended up just letting it go and terminating it. But I stayed in touch. And then again, it would have been like 8 or 9 weeks ago, I did a call with her to get it back under contract. I'm like, you know what? Victoria is her name. I think we can make this work. Would you basically do a novation contract for $30,000 and give me 60 days? And I think I can find a buyer. And if all else, I can get this house cleaned up, because I understood her problem, right? Her issue or her need or her problem to solve was the city was calling her. They were like about to turn off her water. They were about to like file. I don't even know what they do in these small towns, but because like she was in California, the place was a wreck. There was stuff all over the place. So she was getting like nuisance letters from the city. So she needed to do something. I'm like, you know what, Victoria, give me these 60 days and a purchase contract for 30,000. I'll bring my guys and we'll clean it up. So at least I can get the city off your back. She's like, oh, you would do that, Casey? That would be great. I would love that. So anyway, we went under contract. We've been working this one. So finally I go get another agent's opinion. So don't always take the first agent's opinion first off. First moral of the story. Second thing is I got my contractor out there. And anyway, we did this all in the last couple of weeks. And now our ARV that this agent is showing us comps for are around 160 to 180,000. Our rehab budget, we just kind of finalized, looks like it's going to be around 70, maybe 80,000 conservatively. So we just locked it up for 20K. So basically my all-in cost is 100K on this house that has an ARV from like 160 to 180. So a pretty safe bet, right? Really good house. We're going to go fix and flip. And we just got it under contract yesterday. And now we're going to actually these deals like this, we'll typically go get a private money lender to help finance the purchase price. So if anybody's interested or knows somebody looking to be a lender on a first position lien, let me know. But the reason I'm sharing this story is, again, persistence. I mean, when I originally wanted to do this deal, I was like around 60 to 70,000. The agent talked me out of it. We stayed in contact. And that, like I said, yesterday we got it. We got an amendment to the contract to buy the house by the end of the month for $20,000, which is crazy, especially in Wyoming. Wyoming's not California or Montana or Colorado, but it's also not the Midwest where you can buy these things for that cheap. So pretty exciting flip, and just wanted to kind of share the story with you guys. Just being persistent and keeping after it, man. It's a slow game. But what other questions you guys have? John, go ahead, John.
Unmute yourself, John.
I might be able to help you. Hold on.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Hey, I heard the story. I mean, if you're looking for a private lender, I'd love to help you on that one. And so take a look at that. But I've heard that story now. I was actually running through your YouTube and saw you when she got all spirited initially with Victoria. And I was like, golly, you were just so patient and it's like you said, if you build enough backlog, it'll come forward, right?
Yeah, you bet. Good. I'm glad you saw that one. You're right. We recorded that one. That's funny. Yeah. Victoria, she's been in, I think it's
I just thought it was so funny the way and ultimately the city and the harassment that she was getting was just too much. And said she didn't want to be walked out of town, embarrassed or whatever. And so you came in there and double parked the white horse. I thought that was exceptional. So yeah, good to see that it actually paid off.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, John. No, I appreciate it. As always, good. That's the beauty of this community, guys, maybe I'll share that, guys. And the reason why I think this community is so powerful is you just go out there and hustle and find deals, right? Some of you guys might be hustling right now and not have the funding, but the beauty of being in sub 2 is just go find the deal and then go out there, put yourself out there, share the story, and there's lenders and partners out there. So pretty cool. That you guys I appreciate you stepping up, John. I just saw your message too. I guess it's Heidi. Good. I'm going to write down your number too, so we can chat on that one. But anyway, I guess the last thing I'll say on that, guys, is if you're not maybe getting the deal flow right now, or maybe you guys don't either have the time, or maybe you don't have the money to put into all the direct to seller marketing, because I do know a lot of you guys are going direct to agent, and I think direct to agent is a great way to get reps, right? At least you know the houses, you can go find them. It's not a big cost to go do a direct mail campaign or cold calling or hire texters or do Google ads, all the marketing channels that we do, which is not, guys, we're spending, and there's people spend way more than me. I'm spending probably $50,000 a month just to get leads, right? But that's because we've grown this and our goal is to close 100 deals this year, right? So we spend a lot of money on that. Not everybody's doing that. So I think direct agent is a great way to start getting reps and calling people. But the other one I was going to bring up is if you don't have the time to maybe close a deal or find leads, but you have a little bit of money, just go be a lender, right? And whether it's for me or somebody else in the community, go lend on a deal. But what I advise you guys is go lend on a deal with an operator who's transparent, right? Who's going to tell you, hey, here's how I'm underwriting the deal, and just involve you, right? Because I think a lot of you guys want to get reps and you want to understand what's going on. And if you have money, you're going to have a lot more invested, and you're going to have skin in the game, right? So you're going to be involved. It's going to mean more, and you're going to prioritize understanding it, right? So I think that's a great way for somebody to get in and do their first deal, is go be a private money lender on one. So anyway, I just wanted to highlight for some of you guys out here that might be thinking, man, I tune into these Zooms, but I don't have the time to go make a bunch of cold calls, or maybe you're not a sales guy and don't want to make cold calls, but still want to get in the game. Cool. Any other questions you guys have? As we kind of we got definitely more time for another call, or anybody how about who's got like a problem or a deal they're working. And guys, it doesn't have to all be acquisitions. This could be dispo. Maybe you got a deal that you're under contract trying to figure out how you're going to sell it, or even how do you pull a list? Anything we can do they don't just have to be, how do I close this deal problems? I do like those. They're definitely probably my favorite, but we could do any of them. And if not, I'm gonna use the time to maybe just go call one of our leads. We haven't got to do this for a couple weeks, but we did it with Victoria where we called one of my leads. So let me tee one up for you guys, see if we can get somebody to answer. Just 1 second, and I'll pull up this address so we can give somebody a call. You know what? I'm gonna try Beth. So Beth is a deal I've been working for several months. I'm not sure if she'll answer, but we're still trying to. This is a creative deal. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can pull up Beth, but I want to pull up her LOI for you guys. So let me share my screen real quick. Okay, so I gotta go find here. Okay, so let me see if I can find Beth. I want to show you guys the LOI and the offer we made for her. It'll take just a second though. And if Beth will answer, this will be a great call, but no promises she's gonna answer. So it's 504 Saddle. Okay, now I found the conversation. Hold on, this is not her. You know what? Let's just see if she's going to pick up. We're ad-libbing a little bit, but basically if this lady does pick up, we made her a cash offer, and we're making a creative offer, and we're trying to, and she also needs some money to buy out her brothers, but let's just see if she'll answer.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Thus, Blackbook is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
Okay, we'll see if Beth calls me back here. I'm also going to check on that other lead that we called a second ago with Barbara. We'll see if one of these guys will get on the phone for you guys. And in the meantime, let me know, guys, if you guys have any questions while we're making these calls. It'll give you a chance to think about them.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
All right, we got another one teed up here. Let me just put in the phone number. All right, this is one we already sent an LOI. I'll try to share my screen with the LOI so you guys can see it if he does pick up. Judith, my lead manager, has been working this one, so I'm going to be definitely winging it here, getting caught up to speed.
You have reached the voicemail of Jason Holt. Please leave me a message.
All right, we are striking out on the calls today. Cool. Well, all right, we'll probably wrap it up there unless guys, any other questions? We could wrap it up a little bit earlier today, but any other questions you guys thought now that we got the time? Or a little bit of extra time?
I'll jump in. Do you use the LOI Blaster software?
You know what? I've been thinking about that more. And I know I have not, John, but I was actually reminded about it this week when I was at this mastermind about just getting out more LOIs and using technology. Like, I still think there's a lot of value out there with just in an area that you can buy in or feel comfortable just getting the LOIs going. Because at least, like we always talk about, just getting responses and get people to reply and get people engaged, and then you could go from there. So I've been thinking about it, honestly. What I want to do is I want to go, so people have had success with this, well, they're basically going to go all the houses that were sold from, like, pull a list from every house that was sold from like 2020 to like, say 2022 when the rates were really low, and then cross-check that list against everything that's listed on the market right now or has been. Because typically all those people got low rates and they're great sub-2 deals. And sometimes they'll have low equity. And if they're sitting on the market, I think that's a great list to go and do an LOI blaster to. Tyler, go ahead, man.
So, Casey, I was curious. I have a property in New Mexico that I'm talking with right now. It used to be a 10-acre chili farm. Has anybody kind of gone over here? We just started getting into the process of like the owner, because it's owned outright. So we just started getting into the process of like the owner being able to want to accept seller finance. But has anybody ever like leased out the land to like offset their cost? Or like, has anybody else done that in this group or community? This would be my first like farmland deal, I guess. But at 10 acres, I've already kind of looked around and it looks like I could probably offset like at least $900 to $1,000 on the overall bill.
Yeah, I mean, totally doable. And I'm sure if you put it out there, there's probably somebody in sub-2 that's done it. But yeah, I don't think it's really that complicated. As long as you have the time to go figure out what the market is for that. But I'm with you. It sounds like if there's a market for it, then heck yeah. And there's nothing preventing you from setting up a deal and subleasing part of it.
Okay. And would you have the sublease like already structured before, like, would you have the sublease kind of already in place before you get the property, or would you have that set up after the property?
Yeah, the chicken
or
the egg.
Would you make that a part of your LOI? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I would. Yes, good point. That's probably a great way to start. Is I would put out the LOI and start to get their feedback. But you could even go as far as get it under contract and then have an option period to where you can go out and test it. But I'm telling you, you probably already know this, but if you got that thing locked up, it's a lot easier conversation when you're going to get that sublease. You've got it locked up, right? So I don't think there's anything. People do it all the time. I mean, just like a wholesale deal, right? People wholesale all the time where they'll just get a property under contract and then they'll go find their end buyer. And if they don't, they back out, which I'm not saying is the best thing to do, but I think in this situation on that, and it's up to you, the level of transparency you want to give the seller on that is saying, but I think if all else, it's pretty standard to get an inspection period anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the only hiccup I'm kind of having on like moving forward with the property is that it needs a little bit of work. He wants like $250 for it, but it needs probably like, I want to say a good $30K in reno. There's a lot of like the bathroom area and like some rooms that aren't quite completed yet. And so I guess obviously I don't want to lowball the shit out of him, but like give him his purchase price. But I mean, like, how would I adjust for like having that into the sub-2? Be like, oh, hey, I got to fix this up. Can I come in at no money down and then fix it up? It's also in a pretty rural area too.
Got it.
I think the population's only like 36. Like the next closest rentals are like 20 minutes away.
Wow. What's the closest town in New Mexico?
1 second. I will take a look real quick.
I spent some time out there in oil and gas.
Yeah.
West Texas on that side, and got some family there, so I'm just curious.
I would say next biggest town would realistically probably be Albuquerque or Los Lunas, just underneath Albuquerque.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely would. I would start step one, send out the LOI, see where they're at, and then if you can kind of get terms agreed to, and then you can kind of be working in if you feel like it's got a good shot at it. Because also, yeah, you don't want to go waste a bunch of people's time subleasing if you don't even have a contract. So yeah, I would go with the LOI first, work into a contract, and then start working the sublease part of it.
Sweet. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
You bet, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other rental property where granted you don't have quite the experience maybe of like, hey, I don't know what renting this stuff looks like, but so either way, you can find people local to the area can help you figure that out.
Yeah, I tried to call some local chili farms, and I'm getting back to some of their owners right now because I'm getting a little bit deeper into conversation. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated on it.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
I'll probably even make the call next time you're here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what we're talking about. Yep. So please, yeah. And that'd be a fun one, entertaining one. Because guys, you could just, I don't know. And you don't I don't know anything about chili farms. I know my family grew up in New Mexico. My mom's family did, but I don't know much else about it. But again, you just work through it. It's just, again, I'm just going to work through that call. Like you're just understanding their situation, how much money they need. It's just like any other property, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Good
also,
one.
Before I leave too, Matt, appreciation. Thank you so much for doing the show, bro. I love it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're about to get there too. Make sure everybody else can go share any of that. If you guys can, either way, sharing stuff like that helps me a ton. Tyler, just share that stuff on the Facebook group. So we just want to get more people. And again, so 2 challenges for you guys. A, go tell more people about it. And then B, bring more deals, guys. I want to be calling your people, your sellers, whatever problem is. I want to solve more problems, right? It was a little bit slower today just because we didn't have quite as many. Must just be maybe, I'm not sure what's going on in middle of September, but bring more deals next week, guys, so we can help solve. Last week was awesome. We had the sub 2, the due on sale clause that we worked through, but it's just so much better when you guys bring deals. 2 things, if you guys can let more people know so we can close more deals, right? And then bring more deals to it so we can ultimately close more stuff. So that'll help me a ton, guys. If you can go post in the group, we'll be recognizing next week another community member. We'll be recognizing somebody who's doing the cold calling. And last but not least, we'll be recognizing somebody who's being a deal maker and bringing deals to the Zoom. So those are the big ones. Hold on, I did see a couple more questions before we wrap up here. Okay, David, what CRM are we using? Very good question. We use ReSimpli or ReSimpli, depending on what you call it. It's a really good out-of-the-box one. I don't know what we pay. We pay around $550 a month, but we do enough volume, it makes sense. But yeah, I think that's a really good one if you're really wanting to go direct to seller. Everyone complains about their CRM, but I could complain some things about ReSimpli, but I think I have a lot less complaints than everyone else I talk to. It's a good out of the box. Does it do everything perfect? No, but does any CRM do it all perfect? Definitely not. So it's been a good one for us.
And Casey Sherrod's always coming up with that as well.
Yeah. Yes. Good point. Yeah. Clint was just mentioning. So Sherrod is a fellow real estate investor too. He's in some other masterminds with me. And again, this is not a plug. I enjoy using it, and they just adapt, right? If you need something, they're iterating that thing constantly. And he literally reaches out to the investors, say, hey, what can I do to make this better? And he actually cares. So anyway, similar to Pace, right? He cares about the people he's servicing. So really good point. There was another one I saw. Okay. What should be best? This is a good question, Ryan. Go straight to a PML, PMP for an RV park or multifamily, or go build capital by wholesale? Ooh, man, I would go, that's a great question. Very specific, right? But in general, go build your money. I think wholesaling for sure. I mean, I think that's the best way to kind of get in and create some capital, create a war chest, and then you can kind of go get into the multifamily and other stuff. But at the same time, I've connected, guys. I've had so many people in this community that they're just called connectors. And if you guys are interested in this, you guys know Colin Yep and a couple other guys, Eric Fuller. A lot of these guys, they're great at raising capital. And maybe they didn't go spend a bunch of money. Like these guys don't have a big direct to seller business. They're not doing wholesaling. They're not fixing flippers. They're just great networkers. And they just go out and find people in the community and they raise money. And what they do is they bring me people who are like ready to invest. For example, I shared the deal today in Grable where we're going to bring in an investor for like $100,000 first position lien. They connect me with a lot of them are people in sub 2, sometimes out of sub 2, but they'll connect me and we do like a connection fee for them investing on one of our deals. So that's another really good way, guys. If you really like networking and like talking to people, feel like you can raise money, that's a great way to where now that every time they bring the investor, they get paid on that deal. So they're building their war chest. And I know these guys that I'm working with, eventually they want to go be buying multifamily or bigger projects of their own, but they're basically building their war chest by being a connector. So I think that's a really cool thing you guys can do if you're just trying to, ultimately at the beginning, if you guys hear anything, or if I could teach you anything I've learned over the years, I was just like, let's go buy rentals. I listened to Bigger Pockets, right? Go buy rentals, passive income, create, leave your job, all these different things, all these buzzwords, right? But really, the most important thing is you find a business that generates money that allows you to buy rentals, right? If you do it the other way, you can crash and burn, right? Because you gotta have a cash machine, we call it, and be able to something to make money, whether that's wholesaling, whether that's you being an agent, whether that's you being somebody who raises money for other people, or you fixing and flipping. You've got to have something that's creating cash, and then that allows you to go buy money, and that allows you really to get into the multifamily game. At least that's what I recommend. You could, last thing I'll say though, maybe Ryan, one other option is if you want to go straight to the multifamily game, go partner with somebody who's doing it and figure out how you can bring value, right? Maybe you can help them raise money. Maybe you can be calling agents and calling brokers and finding and underwriting deals, tons of different things. Maybe you could be, so we talked about finding the deals, right? We talked about funding it, or maybe you could just be helping out with operations, helping out with property management. I know that those are kind of the three big parts of our multifamily assets is we got to be able to raise the money, we got to find the deal, we got to be able to have property management on point. And the other thing I didn't mention is we got to be able to do project management. So if you guys enjoy construction, that's another great way to go in and bring value to somebody, because man, at least in our market, finding contractors is difficult to say the least. And if you can maybe just be the guy who manages the contractors or finds them, that's just another way you could bring value. Discusses how to Mark, let me follow up. We've got some underwriting stuff that I've done on multifamily. I've actually, you know what I do is within my fund, because we raise money at scale, and I just have always liked to be transparent with my investors. We actually record webinars where I underwrite everything. I share the Google Sheet in the underwriting. So I don't know, I'm a math guy. I enjoy explaining that stuff because I don't know, math is fun for me. It's not fun for everybody, and I just like helping people understand the process. So I've got a couple of videos where I'm underwriting multifamily deals that I've actually bought and closed and raised money for. So I'll share those with you. And I think I have some other resources on my YouTube channel, so I'd love to help you. Multifamily is a kind of a whole nother animal, but at the end of the day, you know what's kind of funny? I was just talking to Clint the other day. He was like, hey, do you have any underwriting, like best underwriting training? And underwriting is such a kind of a nuanced thing, but to me, it's like you just got to start doing deals, and every deal's a little bit different. But yeah, I'd love to help you there, Mark. Did I ask? Let me make sure I answered all these. Cool. And then last thing I'm gonna say, John was also asking about, so he was talking about lending on our deal in Grable. I also have a multifamily deal that we're raising money for accredited investors, if anybody's ever interested. That's kind of what I was talking about a second ago, where what we do for our investors in our fund is like, we're just a very open, transparent book. We show you how we run the numbers. Like we just did an investor update yesterday where we shared all of the updates. We showed, hey, here's our strategy, here's how we're executing. We're just a lot more transparent. Like, I don't know, some people, I've been told over the years that like, wow, why do you share so much, man? Aren't these people are going to just rip off what you're doing and do it themselves? But more times than not, people aren't going to hustle as hard as you are. So, and what I found in this community, probably more than any community, is when you share it, people want to collaborate. They want to JV. They want to do more stuff together. So you guys already know all this. It's the beauty of Sub 2. Awesome community where people want to actually help each other. But anyway, that's why if you guys are ever looking at our deals, we just share the underwriting and we just like helping. Anyway, I've been ranting long enough about that stuff. Oh, Barbara. Speaking of that, Barbara called back. She said they settled on 1.07. All right, Crystalline, let's set that one up for next week. Love to talk about it. That's a good update. And guys, so I'm going to let everybody sign off. Again, really quick, if you guys can go bring more people to next week's Zoom, tell them about it. And secondly, bring your deals. Fill out the forms. I'm going to put the website in here down one last time so you can have the forms. But please, guys, bring your deals next week. My goal is that not only Keith, I know Keith was on here today. Me and Keith are about to get our first deal under contract. My goal is we got 3 or 4 of you every week that are getting contracts. So anyway, I'll share this and we'll see you guys next Friday.
They said they put Lilac Way, one of your largest multifamily underwriting deals, in there in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Oh, good.
It may not be the one you want to directly lead them to for underwriting, but if they watch that one, they should be able to follow along the process of how you sourced it, funded it. And there's some underwriting there as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We should ask if anybody's still on the chat. Maybe we'll put that in the Facebook group. If you guys are more interested in talking through some multifamily underwriting, love to do that. That would change it up too. If you guys are still on and in the chat, let us know. That'd be interesting for you. Cool. Ryan likes
One
it.
vote from Ryan. Yep.
Cool. Well, maybe we just got our next little special breakout for next week. We'll talk multifamily. I think you guys will like it.
Me, Ryan, and Kathy say yes. So I don't know
right.
how many votes you need.
We got 3 votes. It's done. While we're on it, anything else, guys, you want to see more of? Any feedback? Like more, what type of deals, seller calls, other than multifamily? Anything else you guys like to see more of? Hoping people enjoyed last week. If you guys haven't watched last week's episode, go back in the vault where we talk live to a bank and we're negotiating the due on sale. That was one of the best ones we've had. And another one, if you guys are still new, I don't think anybody's, and if anybody's watching the recording still, if you go back, we have one of the, I think it was right in the middle. I need to know the exact number. I'm guessing somewhere around week 5 or 6, we did what we call the LAO, the lowest acceptable offer. That's a really good Zoom where we talk about, and then the cool thing is we break down this concept of how to present the lowest acceptable offer. And then after we explain it, we go and apply it on several like live calls. So that was one of my favorite ones too. We're going to have to come up with the Problems to Profit's greatest hit episodes, share them with you guys.
0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. We're already 10 episodes.
That's right. Cool. All right, guys. We'll talk next week. See you next Friday.